The idea of how to deal with death is an interesting one, because I don't think a lot of people ever need to worry themselves about the event of death. What they have to worry about is the lack of human interaction with a certain individual again. Like if it's their own death, it's the lack of life. You know, you're not thinking about your death, you're thinking of the lack of not experiencing the world. And when you're thinking about somebody else's death, it's not that they die that is sad, you know, that's unfortunate, but it's them not being around anymore. Which I personally think are two very different emotions to go through. Although, then again, emotions for me is a bit of a hard one.
You want to tell the viewers what you mean, Mike?
So, there's a lot of people in the world that find it quite hard to deal with the interpretation of emotion, and that's both internally and externally. Although diagnosed sociopath is not a thing. Freudian slip.
That was bad. That was bad. You're scaring me, Ritchie. You're scaring me.
But there are a lot of things going around that deal with the inability or the misinterpretation to feel emotion. And so you go through a lot of different avenues to try and get to the same ending. And so I was saying the other day about a crypttext for a code. And so emotions you can read as codes. It's very simple. You look at a word and most people say that's the meaning of that word. But through a coded crypttext, you have to go through different letters to get to each one of the letters in the word. So emotions filter through me in a crypttext. They come out as something different to how most people would perceive the situation. And I have to sort of do a little mental set of acrobatics to lead to where you're meant to be, if that makes any sense.
So did you learn a lot by having the same situation, like someone like me, right? I feel really deeply, and something that happens, the same thing happens to both of us, and you see how I react. Are you very attentive to how people who feel deeply react, and you kind of take that in and try to add that to your formula of how to react or how to feel?
Yes, absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons that I get along so well with you, and people like me get along so well with people like you, because it's like a very easy to read situation. It's like reading a picture book. I don't want to sound dishonest, but it is, because it's so very obvious what you're feeling and thinking all of the time. And so it helps a lot, and it makes other people feel good to know. The lack of knowing is quite distressing for a lot of people.
So before you were 16,
yes,
did you experience emotions similarly to after the incident, or do you think that disconnection to your body made you sociopathic?
Yeah, as I say, no such thing as a diagnosed sociopath, but the tendencies that come with it 100% started after the event. Before, I was a very incredibly emotional child. Like, when I was 11, I burst into tears at a fair just because the guy who was running one of the stalls said something that I took really personally, and I felt overwhelming emotion. And in the playgrounds in school, massively emotional. And I felt big love for everybody in my life, but that kind of all got dulled or suppressed after the event.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow. Did you, now when you told me that you went to like therapist, and like, did they say that this event was that first event that started those feelings, or did they say like, no, this is biological, it's just in you?
I didn't tell most of the therapists I talked to about the event because I didn't want it to be put down as a proper nutter until later on in life. I'd much prefer to talk to a medical professional rather than a therapist.
Okay.
So,
yeah, just to discuss the specific symptoms you're feeling. So, do you think you would ever do that now? Do you do that now? an approach.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years, actually more like 4 years after the event, to everything that was suppressed for a long time came out over the course of about a month, and then it went back to normal again. So I know obviously bipolar is just these huge waves of emotion. Mine was sort of like an exponential graph and then a harsh cutoff, and then an exponential graph and a harsh cutoff. So everything starts off when I reset myself so dull and suppressed, and then I feel more and more over a very short period of time, and then there's usually either a breakdown or, more recently, an epiphany. And the epiphanies are nicer.